local media want to give me a 6-year, $120 million deal.
Where do I sign? For me, I ain't taking no cut for nobody. I'm sorry. I need my money.
Well, I'm ready to see how Austin holds it down. I'm ready to see how Ohio State hold it down. I'm ready to see how these first round matchups go, because at the end of the day, man, this is the future.
What he could do for college football, who knows? If you're talking about from a coaching standpoint, phenomenal. What's good, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome into the 19th episode of the Fitz Take Podcast. I'm your guy, Jamarcus Fitzpatrick, but you can always call me Fitz. He's your guy, Elijah Nixon, a.k.a. E-Money, a.k.a. Eli, a.k.a. the man that got a chance to cover a Sun Belt Championship on Saturday night. Guys, thank y'all so much for 318 subscribers on YouTube. Continue to subscribe to us here on YouTube. If this is your first time, hit the bell down below. We would greatly appreciate it. Be sure to like, share, and comment under this post, but make sure you also subscribe to the channel as well. Be sure to follow myself and Elijah on social medias and my production company, One Way Productions. That will be linked down in the description of this video. Elijah, I'm gonna let you have the floor for a minute, man, because you covered a conference championship game. I know it didn't end in the favor of the home team, but how was it?
It was great. I mean, despite the outcome, it was great. I mean, the whole week leading up to it, the storylines, I was there, with Marshall and UL. But for UL to be hosting, the fans did show up. It wasn't, still some more things that, they were. We would hope to pack some more out like that, a little bit more. But the fans were there, no matter the weather. Seeing that, how the stage rolls out and things of that nature, I thought it was pretty cool. The confetti, seeing a little bit of that. I thought it was awesome, man. I mean, like I said, the game didn't turn out into UL's favor or my favor, because you cover the winning team. But at the end of the day, just being there was awesome. So I thought that was pretty cool for UL to host, and hope they get a chance to host many, many more coming up at UL Stadium.
Yeah, man. By the time next year, it'll be Our Lady of the Lord Stadium, as they're making really good progress on the frame of that stadium and the renovation of it. So next year, we shall see, man. Obviously, things, kind of took a turn once Chandler Fields went out with a collarbone injury, broken collarbone, which we have confirmed that is the injury that he has, and he'll probably not be playing in that bowl game. He won't be playing in that bowl game. The New Mexico Bowl that the Cajuns were playing against TCU. So Daniel Beal, the kid from Catholic High that won a state championship in the Caesar Superdome against Acadiana a couple of years ago, will have the chance to likely start his journey as the potential future quarterback of the Louisiana Raging Cajuns. So we'll see, man. The New Mexico Bowl in Albuquerque, New Mexico will be on December 28th. And I think the kickoff was like 1:15 p.m. Not sure of the TV times and stuff, but in the coming days, I'm sure we'll get up more information about that and be able to figure out where you can watch the game at. And who knows, we might pop it up here. You might can watch it here. We like to be men of the people, so you never know. With that, guys, let's jump right into our first play, take number one. And after the college football season has ended with Championship Saturday, the official and first ever 12-team college football playoff bracket has officially been set. The selection committee came to a conclusion, and everything was announced at 11 a.m. on Sunday morning. And it is as follows. The number one seed, the number one team in the country, the only undefeated team, the Big Ten champion, Oregon Ducks, get the number one seed and a first-round bye. In the quarterfinal round, they will play in the Rose Bowl on January 1st. The number two seed, the SEC champion, Georgia Bulldogs, also, getting in the mix. They finish 11-2 on the season after beating Texas for the SEC championship. They will play in the All-State Sugar Bowl in New Orleans on January 1st. The third seed, the Boise State, the Broncos, Mustangs, I think they are. Boise State Broncos. Shout out to those guys, man. They'll play in the Fiesta Bowl as the number 3 seed, 12-1 on the year. That'll be on December 31st. That game will be all of these games will actually be on KETC. So New Year's Eve and New Year's Day will be a busy day for KETC. And finally, the number 4 seed is the Arizona State Sun Devils at 11-2. Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl will be their quarterfinal game that they will play in after they won the Big 12 championship, which their story is pretty amazing because they were picked dead last coming into this conference and won it all. So big shout outs to those guys. Your first round playoff games are as followed. Texas will host a home playoff game against the Clemson Tigers in Austin on December 21st. That game will be at 3 o'clock p.m. Central Time. It will be on TNT and HBO Max. And then your 8-9 matchup. This one is going to be really, really good. Ohio State and Tennessee, both 10-2 ball clubs. That game will be on ABC ESPN on December 21st at 7 o'clock p.m. And then your 6-11 matchup, Penn State, SMU being one of the last teams in and Alabama not getting in. I think the Mustangs put up a great fight there in the ACC championship and they deserve to be in. Dabo Swinney even said it after the game. And they get in. They will go to Happy Valley to face off with the Nittany Lions on the 21st. That will be the first game of the day at 11 a.m. on TNT. And then finally, Notre Dame and Indiana will go at it in South Bend on December the 20th. I believe this is a 7 o'clock kickoff. Will also be ESPN ABC matchup. So, Elijah, a pretty interesting 12-team bracket. But do you feel like the committee got it right? You know, I think Alabama was one of the first teams out. Ole Miss, South Carolina, some other guys that didn't make it in. And then obviously, you know, the SEC getting 1, 2, 3 teams in the mix in this playoff bracket this year. So fairly balanced. Do you feel like the committee got it right? And then what do you think is going to happen?
Yeah, I think the committee got it right. I seen people talking about strength of schedule. Why does that play a part? Alabama had a strength of schedule that was pretty tough. Well, let me tell you something. Alabama lost 3 games, right? Think about those 3 losses that they had. Vanderbilt, they lost to Tennessee, and the last one I think was
Oklahoma, where they didn't score a touchdown.
Oklahoma. As good as Alabama has been and was this year, losing to 2 teams that wasn't even ranked or considered, really good. Vanderbilt was decent. Vanderbilt had a really good year, but they weren't, one of the top teams in the SEC. Neither was Oklahoma. So them losing those 2 games should just tell you something. And they lost those games where, for Oklahoma they didn't score a touchdown. Vanderbilt upset on the road, and then you went back and lost to Tennessee the week right after. So again, it's like, what do you expect the committee to do? There's a lot of competitive teams. Miami, they were out. Um, who else was it for? Ole Miss was out. So it's like those are great. These are good teams that that has a lot of potential and some draft stock on their team that can be selected in the first round of next year's draft. But at the same time, like, you got to think about it, man, because the committee did a great job of putting this stuff together. SMU deserved to be in there. Clemson, they deserved to be in there. South Carolina, who's the first one out, I thought they had a fair chance of being in there. But with these, what is it, 14 teams, 12 teams? With these 12 teams, I think they all right. And then they got some juggernauts for the first round matchup as well. I can't wait to see Texas atmosphere of hosting a playoff game. Now I get that they're gonna have a neutral site against Clemson. Clemson fans do travel, but I'm ready to see how Austin holds it down. I'm ready to see how Ohio State hold it down. I'm ready to see how these first round matchups go, because at the end of the day, man, this is the future. This is what we're about to see from here until probably 2073. Like, this is where we're at with it. This is where we at with it. So I can't wait to see that. I think the committee got it right. Its strength of schedule is something that they're gonna have to start honoring. I hope that the SMU's and the Boise States do play more competitive teams next year. But right now, man, as this is the first year that things getting started, I think they got it right, and I can't wait to see how everything turns out, because it's real football now. You're one and done. It's real football.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Here's the thing. The committee was in a lose-lose situation on either side. If they put Alabama in, then people would say the value of conference championships mean nothing, which people would have started arguing to not have conference championships anymore. And that devalues everything that college football is about, which is playing for championships. That means you get rid of the Sun Belt Championship, you get rid of the Mountain West Championship, you get rid of all of the Conference USAs, like all the G5 championships, AAC. You could get rid of all of those because at that point it's like it doesn't matter. But then also, if you don't put in, like I said, if you wouldn't have put in SMU, that's your argument. By not putting in Alabama, now people are going to say strength of schedule. But I truly believe that you reward the people that have earned it. Like SMU clearly is a good football team because they were down 24-7 or 21-7 at one point in that game and came all the way back to tie the football game. And the only reason that they lost it was because a college kicker was able to make a 56-yard kick. Like you kind of got to have to just tip your hat to that. Like if he misses that kick, they're in overtime, and who knows what would happen at that point. Now I will say that my crazy self was yelling at the TV, "Go for two," but that's probably why I'm not a head coach, because I'm always thinking, "Wow, do it! Just let's make it happen." Like we said, teams like Miami, Ole Miss, South Carolina, Alabama. Alabama was actually ranked number 11 in the AP poll and didn't make it in. BYU didn't make it in either. So it's interesting, man. But I agree with you. The committee got it right. And I think that this is only the tip of the iceberg of what the playoffs may truly look like. I don't know what it would be to add. What would that be? 3 more teams? Would that be no? You'd have to add in 6 more teams to make it another even playoff. So that would be an 18-team playoff system. Who's to say that that doesn't happen in the next 10 years? Maybe. I think the playoffs is definitely something that's here to stay. And I think that it's good for college football because it gets those guys ready for what they're going to do in the NFL. Like you're going to have to play in the playoffs in order to go and win a championship, the big one that matters. It will also sort of devalue bowl games as what we know them as, like the Texas Bowl and the Reliant Quest Bowl and all of those bowl games like that will basically become obsolete at that point, especially if you continue to add on to the CFP. But this is all good for college sports. I'm excited to see what those first games are going to look like. The first one of the postseason will be Notre Dame and Indiana. So that should be a good one, man. Marcus Freeman and his crew, Indiana, with their only loss being to Ohio State. That's going to be a really good one. SMU going on the road, proving that they can play in big games where they were just basically on the road playing against Clemson in the ACC championship. And then Tennessee and Ohio State, 2 really good quarterbacks in Nico and Will Howard. And then finally, like you said, Texas and Clemson. Man, you talk about atmospheres. Austin, Texas is going to be different for that one. I might have to just pull up on that one myself just to look and see, but it's going to be fun. And then, of course, the teams that got the first round byes, Oregon, rightfully so. Georgia, rightfully so. I mean, after the type of run that they, went on in the season, it was at one point that these guys were like outside of the top 15 in the AP poll, I think it was. And I think it was either the week before the first CFP rankings came out or the first week where they weren't even in it. To do that and to come all the way back and get the number 2 seed, it's just setting the table for a very interesting run of what could potentially be a national championship run for the Dogs. Obviously, Kirby Smart gets there at the podium and says that Greg Sankey put them all on the road and all this stuff, even though like they only had 4 road games. Like I know they had neutral sites and all this stuff like that, but Kirby Smart is going to make adversity the best way he can because he knows he's got to put a chip on the shoulder of these guys to keep them hungry. So we shall see. The college football playoffs begins December the 20th, and it will run all the way to the national championship, which I believe is like January the 15th or something like that. It'll be a fun one. We shall see how it all turns out as we go here into the postseason now with the college football playoffs. So let's go ahead and make some forward progress. And let's go into take number 2. We're talking about some coaching there in the college football world. Firstly, Bill Belichick interviewed for the North Carolina job, the open job for the Tar Heels. They just parted ways with Mac Brown, who is an elderly coach, and now have interviewed a more up in age coach. Um, what are your thoughts on that, Elijah? I think that Bill Belichick, deservedly so, has a good resume, but is he a good qualified candidate for the job, and will he fit what North Carolina ultimately wants to do, which is to compete for a spot in the college football playoffs?
Like, some people I think uh, fit uh, the college atmosphere very well. Dion I think is a very good recruiter. I think he could go out there and motivate the kids. Um, I feel the same way with Steve Sarkisian. I feel like Nick Saban was like that. I don't know about Bill. I don't think Bill's eating everybody's gumbo, everybody's chili. I don't think Bill is like one of those guys where it's like his personality shows a lot. I know he's been on TV a lot, ever since him getting fired. But I just don't see him in North Carolina. Getting those 5 stars, 4 stars. Not saying that he can't, but I don't see it as much because I think Bill is more of a professional coach. Nothing against college. I think college. I think it is, but I think he's more of a professional guy, especially with the stuff that he was proven to do on a professional level. Um, Kids and adults are two different things. College kids and these pro athletes are two different things. I know you're getting them out of college, but 9 times out of 10, Bill has always had like a veteran team, a veteran leading the way. I don't know what he is when he had a rookie with Mac Jones. I didn't like it. And I don't know how I could feel when he have a freshman quarterback because I just feel like I don't see Bill like that. So I mean, I'm happy he's getting interviews. I'm happy he's getting looks. I do think college football is a good spot for some guys, but just for Bill Belichick, not to me. I think Bill Belichick deserves to be on a professional level, and I don't think he should just count that out. Um, I don't know if this is a money move. Like, hey, I'm getting over here, so you might as well pay me here. I don't know if this is a money move. But I hope that he stays in the professional world because I think that suits him way better than being in the college world.
Yeah, no doubt, man. He's never coached at the collegiate level either. All of his tenure, he started with the Baltimore Colts, Detroit Lions, Denver Broncos, the Giants, the Browns, the Patriots, the Jets, and then ended his 23-year tenure or 24-year tenure there with the Patriots. So um, he's never done it before, but he knows how to win. He knows how to be successful, which is why he absolutely deserved to at least get a conversation and have an interview. But then you hear the rumblings of John Summerall and his name potentially being out there now. Our good friend Megan Glover, put out a soundbite with him at the bowl announcement, and he was like adamant, like I ain't going nowhere. Like I'm I'm good. You know what I'm saying? Now, of course, we just saw Charles Huff, the head coach of the Sun Belt champion Marshall Hurd, get on Zoom, and I think Matt Miguez was the one that asked him the question, and his response was, any 9-year-old kid can create a Twitter page and say sources, and all of a sudden it's true. Well, it was true, brother, because people were saying he was going to Southern Miss, and he is now the head football coach of the Southern Miss Golden Eagles. Um, so we've seen coaches be extremely adamant and still, turn the page. I think even Nick Saban did it at one point. It was either when he left Bama to go to Miami or leaving Miami to go back to Bama, one of the two. So we've seen it all before, and stranger things have happened. What he could do for college football, who knows? If you're talking about from a coaching standpoint, from a technical and teaching standpoint, phenomenal. He's going to be great from a teaching standpoint. Being charismatic, we know he's not going to bring much charisma. He's going to tell those kids to block out the noise and don't feed into any energy of the media and play your role, win championships and all of that. And is that good for college football as the brand? Probably not. But like I said, he's definitely earned at least a vote of respect in sitting down, having a conversation, seeing what his philosophy is in this new age of rev share and NIL and guys making money and transfer portal and all of this different wave now. So he's deserved that right. But I don't think necessarily that he will be the man to get the job in the end. But he's earned that right. to at least get an interview. Um, from one coach to another earlier in the week, which was a wild. I don't know if it was Bleacher Report or something, but whichever one of y'all media outlets did this, it was a graphic of Mike Gundy, and it said standoff. You know how you normally have breaking at the bottom of it. It said standoff. I said, like, with the police, the authorities. I had to read that. I was like, that was clickbait. Y'all got me. I clicked. But Mike Gundy was in a standoff with Oklahoma State earlier this week. He's telling people that they have to come to him and ask him to take a restricted contract. He's expected to include a pay cut, but he didn't want to do that. But then after some time, they came to an agreement and said, "All right, we're going to have you back, and no more standoff." Um, Elijah, how do you feel about coaches speaking up for themselves? And even though Mike Gundy has been there at Oklahoma State for I want to say 20 something years, how do you feel about a coach standing up and saying like, "No, bro, this is my money. I'm not taking nothing off the top." How do you feel about
They got to feed their families too. So I mean, I personally feel like um, I'm cool with stuff like that. I mean, honestly, you signed that deal. So basically, if you can't mutually come to agreement, then just might as well just get your cake, man. Because at the end of the day, you never know if you can get another deal like that. You never know. That deal may come once in a lifetime. So for Gundy, I think that's pretty cool for him. I think that was pretty good for him to stand up and do what he had to do. I just think that this too, like you got to think, like I know we see them as coaches on Saturdays or whatever Monday through Friday, however you see them, but being on the sideline Saturdays, these guys got lives too, man. I'm not sure if he got kids and things of that nature, but if he do, he already got kids in the school system down there. If he got to move and go somewhere else, you got to take him out of that school system. You got to move your family again. You got to do this all over again. So these guys got lives, man. They got to, they're and most people are looking at him to provide. So that money that he has to have, he's put already, he signed and he's wanting to pocket that, and he's expecting to keep that same salary until that contract run out. But again, like I said, man, I'm proud that he stood up for himself. I hope coaches continue to do that. 'Cause at the end of the day, man, they're human too. They're human too. They get paid to feed their families, and also on top of that, if you got to move your family coast to coast, and it gets tiring after a while. So I'm proud of Gundy for the standoff with the authorities that he had.
it? That's crazy. And just to clarify, he did restructure his contract. He did it as his $7.75 million annual salary will be reduced to be redistributed as part of revenue sharing with players, and his buyout will be reduced as well. So he stood on the table. I'm sure that number wasn't what they originally wanted it to be. Um, but hey, man, like there's a very fine line in between standing on the table for what you deserve and also being a team player. You know, for me, you think about guys like a Tom Brady, where I'm sure there were plenty of times that he could have tested the free agency waters, but he continued to take little cut after little cut to make sure that the rest of the team could eat so they could win more Super Bowls. Um, and so I get that. Like for me, I ain't taking no cut for nobody. I'm sorry. I need my money. Baby need a new pair of shoes. Wifey need a new purse. I ain't taking nobody. You feel me? But I also understand in sacrificing for the betterment of the team. So it might not come out of my pockets, but it might come in a very much different way. So um, obviously in the new age of NIL, like some people have suggested that Brian Kelly needs to do that. They've suggested other coaches need to do that. And they need to shave some of that money off the top to be able to help with revenue sharing. But even in that, like I'm sure that there's only a certain amount of money that they can budget and flow over from their contract. And yes, it's millions of dollars, but bro, once you a millionaire, you kind of pick up millionaire habits. So you have to maintain your lifestyle. I've always said, to my wife, even when it comes to like, different jobs and different subjects and topics and things like that, like the main thing I don't want to happen is for our quality of life to change. You know what I'm saying? Like we like to go and travel and have fun and all this stuff like that. whatever jobs we have, whatever kids we have, I want to make sure we still are able to do that. So whatever I need to do to make sure that I can get the money on that I need and you get the money on that you need, that's what we're gonna do. So make sure we good. At whatever age I am. That's now at 27 or 72. Whatever type of bread this what we need. So we can be straight and keep living how we live in and even better quality of life. You know what I'm saying? Um, I respect him for standing on the table and saying like this is what I believe. I'm warranted. This is what I believe I should do uh, because he deserves it. And you know, I think they had one bad season last year or this year here because I think they were playing for the Big 12 championship last season. So, the brother has a good track record. You know what I'm saying? Um, so he redistributes some of his money. I don't know what he was making per year, or what he will be making per year now with the restructuring. ESPN doesn't have that in the article, but it was originally 7.75. Um, so we shall see, man. More coaches, I'm sure this stuff will start to come about now that the domino has fallen. Because once one person does it, everybody else all of a sudden wants to get in line and do the cha cha slide. So
That was a good analogy. Yeah, a good analogy.
yeah, they got to get in line. They're gonna get in line and dance, man. Um, with that, guys, let's go ahead and go to take number 3 and let's fly out. Uh, we've been talking about money and we've talked about people making lots of it. And one man that is potentially about to make a lot of money, deservedly so, is one Stephen Anthony Monquavius, as whatever Cam Newton calls it, Smith, is nearing a blockbuster $120 million ESPN contract extension, according to the New York Post. Um, ESPN is expecting to retain one of its pillars. The Post has confirmed that Stephen A. Smith and ESPN are close to an agreement on a contract extension. The outlet reported or Variety was the first to report it. The outlet reported that Smith's reps at WME have discussions for ESPN's parent company to have a first look deal associated with Smith's production company, Mr. SAS Productions. The Athletics' Andrew Marchand reported the deal, which has not been finalized, is around 6 years, $120 million. Here's my quote. I was born at night, not last night. I don't talk about my contract negotiations. Never have, never will, Smith told The Athletic after saying it was false that the deal was close. Um, Earlier this year, Smith's production company released a documentary up for debate, The Evolution of Sports Media, which I need to check that out for the ESPN streaming platform. Um, Smith has been candid about wanting to be the highest paid talent at ESPN after the network signed Joe Buck, Troy Aikman, and Pat McAfee that had leapfrogged him. In June, John Oren reported that ESPN initially offered him $18 million a year and that he was seeking $25 million annually. With all that in mind, Elijah, this is a lot of bread being put on the table, and I want me a loaf. But how do you feel about this? Is Stephen A. worth the money? And what ultimately will his contract do whenever he inks it? What will it do for the sports media world as we know it?
Stephen A. is definitely worth the money. I'm gonna tell you. So thinking about this, when you watch First Take, you know Stephen A. is to me is the show. I like Shannon. I like Mad Dog. I like when Ryan Clark is out there. I like a lot of the cast members that he has. But at the same time, when Stephen A's not up there, the show to me take a little dip. So at the end of the day, pay that man what he worth. Behind the scenes, I mean, he put out there that he produced most of this stuff. He gets the talent out there. Adding Cam Newton, adding Shannon Sharp, uh, adding a bunch of these guys, so the show can still be relevant and be the number one show. Shows that he knows what he's doing. So him asking for money isn't him asking for that much money isn't a bad thing, or don't seem greed to me. It seems like he's paid what he's worth. Now, with that being said, that's just opening the doors for a lot of people that's in sports media. For you, Jamarcus, for myself, I don't know if local media want to give me a 6-year, $120 million deal.
Where do I sign?
But I'm not afraid to ask for it. So,
well, if I had a pen.
yeah, we're going. I need that. I need that too. But at the same time, man, his resume speaks for itself. Sports media is going. To me, sports media is still, the number one media where you can have media members and guys that's leading in the league and give you some great facts and give you great things towards the entertainment. Because one, the athletes that's leaving, they were in the locker rooms, and the journalists that were in the locker room know how to, you know, conduct themselves around athletes a lot and get the good stories out of them. So sports is only getting bigger. We just talked about college football. College football taking this big leap with these playoffs and TNTs being involved and things of that nature. So at the end of the day, man, sports media is growing. That means there's money out there, endorsements out there. Go grab that. Go grab that. Hopefully, when it's time for us to renew, uh, I won't mind a couple million. I wouldn't mind if my name was up there for like, hey, a couple of hours. I'll sign for a couple of hours. I'll make sure, but it got to make sense. So it got to make sense. Trust me, it got to make sense. But I won't mind if it was down for a couple of hours though. I won't mind. I won't mind.
If it don't make dollars, it don't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
So for people out there, if you haven't, if this is your first time ever watching us, me and Elijah are both in television. We work for a TV station in Lafayette, Louisiana. Me being in sports, him being kind of a hybrid guy that he works in sports and news a little bit. And the way that our industry is, kind of set up is I say that it's closely similar to the way that professional sports is, where you have contracts, you have incentives in it. You can basically get cut. I don't think you can get traded. I've never heard of anybody getting traded in TV. You kind of have free agency. You have negotiations. You have TV agents. Like there are a lot of things like that happens, and so we have been in similar positions where you're negotiating contracts, you're renegotiating contracts, you're negotiating with other stations and things of that nature. We ain't nowhere near touching the money that Stephen A is talking about right now, but we completely understand where he's coming from because this is how this works. Like when you come in and you do a job for a company, you present a certain level of value, and the best ability is availability. Stephen A. Smith has proven time in and time out. The man is barely off, bro. Like whether he is in studio or if he has a backdrop behind him and he is somewhere remote, he is on First Take most of the time. He takes off maybe like 1 to 2 weeks out of the year, like a big chunk of the year, and that's it. He on there making takes every single day, Monday through Friday. And now he's added his podcast in there where he has his own production company and he's, working through things like that. Where he has the Stephen A. Smith show, which is on, YouTube and, also on these different podcasting networks, where you can listen, which this is the new age of sports media, linear television, watching First Take the way that it is on TV. Ain't nobody watching, bro. I can't tell you the last time that I legit sat down from A block to final block, watch First Take. But there's been multiple times that I've seen Shannon Sharp and Stephen A debate for a 6-minute clip on Twitter. That is the way that this stuff is going. So a lot of these guys have figured out ways to bring things up in non-conventional, non-traditional ways in television to still be entertaining. And he's been able to stand through all of this, through the social media era, through where you got TikTok, where you got Instagram, where you got, Blue Sky now. Like it's not even Twitter or X. Like people trying to move over to Blue Sky now. Twitter, I don't think Twitter is ever going to die. They can call it X all they want to. Twitter is never going to die. But there's so many avenues now where people can get their information, and Stephen A has found a way to stay relevant in it all. And also, you look at the fact that he is one of the final guys that are like OG journalists to make it to the top. Like most of your people now that are getting these big contracts are former athletes. Rightfully so, they deserve the opportunity to be able to voice their opinions because they know the game better than us journalists do because they played it. But at the same time, we credentialed too. We went to school too. Stephen A has, went on rants for years of the resume that he has to get to the point that he's at on First Take. He's earned it. He's worked for it. And now he has the opportunity to become the guy, and he's already the lead man of the network. He's keeping the lights on. He has the number one morning show across the board. Nobody's competing. The facility, whatever they call that show that used to be Skip and Shannon, all these other morning shows, nothing pales, nothing is in comparison to First Take, where the helm of it all is Stephen A. Smith. And I mean, that man be out there backseat directing most of the time anyway. He be telling them, put me an ISO shot up, or put Stephen A. and Ryan Clark in boxes. I want to see both of them. Like, he really doing this. So, brother, I hope you get your money, get your bag. I'ma always say this, bro. Get your money, get your paper, because them people above you getting theirs. You feel me? So if they getting the B's, the billions, you need to get the M's. Whatever they getting, you need to get a step right below it. So if they getting hundreds of thousands, you need to get your tens of thousands. And this ain't just for Stephen A. Word to anybody out there that's in the TV business. If they getting they hundreds of thousands, you need to get your tens of thousands. If they getting their millions, you need to get yours. So get your money, Stephen A. Get your money. Let's go ahead and round out the show, ladies and gentlemen, with our Fitz Take. Elijah, you have the floor on this one. Who's your Heisman Trophy winner between Ashton Jeanty and Travis Hunter? The season is over. The playoffs are starting. Who's your Heisman?
Can jump off the Travis Hunter train now, man. Travis Hunter. What that dance was?
He
That
be
dance.
doing a lot of them.
Hey, man. Travis. Travis to me deserves it. Nothing against Ashton. I think Jeanty had a heck of a season. But I think Travis, man, doing it on both sides of the football was amazing. I know some people say we never see anything like that. I mean, there was I think Charles Woodson did something like this, but to this magnitude of the new generation of seeing it firsthand and not, trying to relive it when Charles Woodson did it, I think it's pretty awesome. On top of that, the spotlight was on him to make a play in and out because of Dion. The spotlight was on him because of Dion, and the Shador and Shiloh that was out there as well, and he showed up every week. Every week he had something to do, whether if it was catching touchdowns or catching interceptions, doing both. The man was so talented on both sides of the ball, barely missing any snaps. I know people talk about conditioning. Yeah, his conditioning was high, but I think what it really was is the love of the game, and I think that for him, I think that's awesome. And I'm happy that he actually went to go play for Dion because if he'd have went to go play and try to do that with Georgia or Texas or anything, they'll probably tell him sit his butt down. So he 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 did the right thing by picking Dion, but I think Dion did the right thing by showing his talents all over the field on both sides of the football. So again, man, everybody know what his numbers are. Everybody know what he can do. But I think Hunter is the best college football player right now. He's up there. It's all over with the Johnny Manziels, the Tim Tebow's, the Reggie Bush. I think his name can be up there, solidified up there. So Travis Hunter has it. I think it's his move. There's nothing against Ashton. I think Ashton is a spectacular talent in college football, but man, give me Travis, man. I think Travis deserves it, dude.
I hear you, man. And I think from a marketing push standpoint, very similar to kind of how LSU did for Jaden Daniels. Like everything, the stars are aligning perfectly for Travis Hunter to win the Heisman Trophy. And at the end of all of this, I truly do believe that Travis Hunter will be the Heisman Trophy winner. But in my opinion, I feel like Ashton Jeanty deserves his respect. And if I was voting, I would vote for Ashton Jeanty simply because Barry Sanders' rushing record, and I know he did it in 11 games back in 1988, and it earned him the Heisman Trophy. back when he did it, but he rushed for 2,600 yards, 2,628 yards. Ashton Jeanty, I know it's more games, but this season he's rushed for 2,497 yards. I don't know what the math is. Let me do it real quick. 2628 minus 2497. He needs 131 yards to tie Barry Sanders' record. He needs 132 to break it. Game by game, that brother has rushed for at least 140 something yards. The lowest he's ever rushed for is 127 yards all season. Now he getting 30 something touches. I get it. I get that. He's probably getting stat padded to be able to win the Heisman. But if this boy breaks a record that has stood more than, what is that, 30 years? 88? Might be a little more than that. Let's pull out the calculator again. That's a 36-year-old record. If this boy break a record from almost 40 years, if you take him and put him at any other Power 5 school, he's the Heisman, no question. It ain't even a debate at that point. I think the thing that is holding him back at this point is the fact that he's at Boise State. I think that's the only thing. And people will say that is what is holding him back because, he hasn't played any great competition. The only, major game that he played in was against Oregon. And he has the opportunity to prove it on the big stage. He gets a first round bye to heal himself up, and he's going to get either Penn State or SMU. And if he breaks that record, brother, we going to have a conversation. Like I said, at the end of it all, I do believe Travis Hunter will win the Heisman Trophy. But I'm just making a case for young Ashton Jeanty because the brother has an opportunity to do something that hasn't been done in 36 years. I get Travis has played every single snap on both sides of the ball, and we've never seen that before. But how many times have we seen anybody break Barry Sanders' record? We haven't. We've seen people rush for 2,000 yards. There's an extensive list of running backs that have done it. Can what Travis Hunter has done this season, can it be duplicated? It is to be seen. Can what Ashton Jeanty has done be duplicated? It is to be seen. But I can tell you this. It's been more years of what Barry Sanders' record has stood for longer. It's been more years of that than what we have seen of Travis Hunter, of somebody else doing what Travis Hunter has done. Now, the further we get away from that, maybe we can have that conversation. If it's another 40 years before we see another Travis Hunter, okay, we can have that talk. But that's 40 years from now. If Ashton Jeanty breaks that record, because, bro, he going to pop off a 50, 60-yard run. I haven't watched a full game of him, but the stuff that I've seen of him, he going to pop off at least one long run, right? So if he breaks that record, got to give him heavy consideration. So we shall see. The Heisman Trophy winner will be announced very soon. I can't think of what the day is. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick. When is the Heisman ceremony? December 14th. So that won't be before he gets a chance to have his bowl game. Well, with the resume that he has now, I still will give him a nod. I'll still give him a nod, in my opinion. I think if this was after the playoff game, brother would no doubt be getting even more looks. But we shall see. December 14th, the Heisman Trophy ceremony will happen, and we will truly find out who is the Heisman Trophy winner for this season. So, E, you got anything else, my man?
Nah, man. I'm just happy that we're doing another episode 19. 19 of these things, man.
Absolutely. We appreciate you guys so much getting us to this point. The goal now is to get us to 400 before the year is over. 400 subscribers on YouTube. Y'all keep running it up. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend to subscribe to the Fitz Take Podcast. Also, follow us wherever you listen to your podcast. Spotify, iHeartMedia. We're working to get still on Apple Podcast and all those things like that. but we greatly appreciate y'all. We would love for y'all to continue to do that. Be sure to like this video. Be sure to share this video. Be sure to comment under this video. Let us know who you think is going to be the Heisman Trophy winner. We would greatly appreciate that. Follow myself and Elijah on our social media platforms. Also follow my production company, One Way Productions. That'll all be linked down in the description of this video. Guys, we appreciate y'all so much for tuning in to the 19th episode of the Fitz Take Podcast. Signing out for my man Elijah Nixon. I'm Jamarcus Fitzpatrick. We'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching this clip of the Fitz Take Podcast. Be sure to like this video and also subscribe to the YouTube channel. And also follow me and Elijah on our social media platforms. They will be linked down in the description. And remember, every episode of the Fitz Take Podcast will air right here on the YouTube channel every Monday at 2 p.m. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.